Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode 159 of the Audible Farm Podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee is roasted right here in Iowa. It's my favorite coffee. I drink it every single morning. One of my favorite things about it is when you make an order, they roast it and then ship it to your house, so you don't have to drive anywhere to go get it. It is roasted to order, so they're not just roasting a pile of coffee and then hoping somebody buys it. They're just roasting it when you need it. So it's going to be about the freshest coffee you've ever had. So check it out. Go to couchtowncoffee.com, find a coffee you like, make an order, and when you do, let them know Audible Farm sent you, and they'll give you 20% off. Why? Because Couchtown Coffee is that awesome. This week, I'm sitting down with Josh Stewart. This is another one of those fun episodes where you get to hear me actually sitting down talking with somebody for the first time ever, like 5 minutes after we met each other. I know, like, we did have a little conversation online. He had initially tried to put me in touch with Mike from the Fond of Flyers, and Mike and I have yet to, like, find a time that works for both of us to do an interview. So Josh stepped in, and we talked a little bit about the Fond of Flyers and what's going on there. We talked some about how Josh kind of like grew up and played music with other people, other bands he's been in, another band he's in, as a matter of fact, Tantrum Too Blind. And, you know, it's kind of fun. This episode was a little off the wall. There was a few times in there where we talk about some crazy stuff. Like what we thought of certain bands and stuff when we were little kids. So, like, I mean, there's all sorts of deep stuff going on in this episode. It makes it one of my favorite episodes because we kind of just went off the rails there for a little bit. But I hope you guys enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed sitting down talking with him. As for just meeting Josh, he seems like a really cool guy. And this episode should surely reflect that. So check it out. I hope you guys enjoy it. This is episode 159 with Josh Stewart.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Today I'm sitting down with Josh Stewart. Josh, you actually just messaged me on maybe Instagram? I don't know.
Facebook, I believe.
It's tough. I was going through all like the old messages that I'd missed, and I'm like, let's message this person back here, you know. Fond of Flyers, you're the lead guitarist for the Fond of Flyers.
Yes.
And that was a band that I had like kind of seen in passing in like the Facebook groups and stuff, and I was like,
oh yeah,
this is a band. It exists.
Yep, they're real.
I'll figure it out when I figure it out. You know,
Yep.
like it's one of those, we'll cross paths eventually.
Yes.
And we've crossed paths today.
Yes.
Which is crazy because you guys just released an album like what, last month?
Early July, I think.
All right.
Yeah, right around the 4th.
That might have been when you messaged me initially then.
It could have been.
Like,
yeah, you're right.
It takes a while. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, there's 20 different platforms. It's hard to get through all the messages. So.
Yeah, plus, you know, all the overhead. You had to go through HR to
Yeah.
get in here and fill out all the paperwork. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
It's a one-person operation. So how did you hook up with the Fond of Flyers?
So, Tantrum Too Blind. You've heard of them.
Yep.
I was with that band. We still are a band. But Josh Nielsen joined the Fond of Flyers full time. They had a different drummer at the time. He didn't work out or something didn't line up. So Jesse, Tantrum's drummer, joined up with them, and they were just a 3-piece for the most part. And then I think we were at a buddy's place for some holiday, just hanging out, drinking, all that fun stuff. And Nielsen said, yeah, you should, come join us sometime, just fill in, have fun with it, try it. He knew it wasn't my style, they play a lot of poppy, anything. I mean, they cover the whole spectrum, which is cool.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing covers. It's fun to delve into things you're not comfortable with, kind of makes it fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, it could be fun. So we booked a show, last minute kind of thing, and I just filled in and haven't left.
Nice.
Just kind of kept inviting myself. So
that's how it's done. Just keep inviting yourself, and then
be
eventually
persistent.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you're just part of it, and they don't realize it.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. You're on the payroll.
Yep.
It's the reverse. What's Office Space?
Yeah,
instead
exactly.
of showing up and they're not paying you, you're showing up and they're paying you.
Yep. And they don't realize it.
Oh man, yeah, you were right though. Like when I listened to the album, I was surprised because like the first song in the album is almost like pop punky.
Right.
But every song, I feel like about halfway through, you're like, wait, the song changed. It's a little bit different now because it's
Right.
not what it initially was.
Right. There was a guy that wrote a review on it. I don't remember, someone out of Des Moines, I think, or some small, I don't know if it was a record label or a radio place or something, but he kind of talked about it and how every song he's like, well, this sounds kind of like this band from the 90s, but then it doesn't entirely sound like them, but it kept reminding him of certain bands. Like every song reminded him of somebody differently, and it was just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really wanted to, I'm sure you could do that with a lot of music. Be like, I think we actually talked about that like in the messages we had back and forth. Where like every band kind of sounds sort of like the genre that they're in, but nowadays bands, it's hard to just put the whole band into one genre and say this band is only a folk band or this band is only a whatever, you know?
Yep.
So, and that's definitely a thing though, because like I said, the first song starts out real pop punky, and then by the time it gets over, you're like, oh, there was a different passage in there somewhere. And the second song is the same way. It's I mean, the whole album is literally like every song. It's really cool how it
takes a turn.
Yeah, and it's cool how everything mixes together and fits well too, because you wouldn't think that like all of the styles mushed together would be what they are.
Right.
But I mean, even in your band bio on your website there, I think it states just about every genre. It's like rock, folk, you know, a touch of metal, you know, a little bit of pop, and it's like it's a little bit of all of that stuff. And
I mean, if you talk to everybody in the band and ask them who their inspirations were or who they like to listen to, it would be the most diverse list of all time, probably. I mean,
you were here in a Slayer shirt.
Yeah,
so.
right. Yeah, don't get a whole lot of that on the album. I came in pretty late, but yeah, it's all over the place, which is fun. And like you said, it's weird how it works together, and you listen to it. And I like albums that flow. So that was a big thing when we were putting the track listing together, but. It's weird how, like you said, the first energetic song mixes into this kind of mid-tempo, kind of mid-90s poppy alternative song, and then everything.
Yeah, the second song, I was like, this song, I feel like it could be on like a montage for like a season finale for a sitcom in the 90s, you know? It's like Will Chandler, hook up with, or whatever, it's like. That was a Friends reference poorly, but still.
Well, it happened. Yep. But yeah, Mike, he wrote 99% of what's on the album, I think. But lyrically, like, how catchy it is. It's like everything could be in a commercial. Because it's just like easy sing-along, stuff like that. And
yeah, but it's also like not super repetitive,
right,
though.
Right, which he's good about. Yeah, it's a fun album for sure.
So, coming from playing like more heavy stuff and then going to that, did you find the challenge actually somewhat enjoyable to like switch styles and kind of jump into somewhere else?
Yeah, it was fun. For me, it was weird because, like you said, metal, is more about you're always doing something. It's busy music. So going from that to these songs, it's like, okay, I just have to do something to make it better and not be constantly doing something, not feel like I have to be doing something all the time. So that was the biggest challenge for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm always feeling the need to be playing. It's like you can play something and then stop. Let the other aspects of the song kind of take, the forefront and shine a bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's like they always say, music is the space between the notes.
Right.
Which, if that's true, then like between the last time you played and the next time you played, is that all music in there?
I think so.
And so then we're just always forever playing music?
Exactly.
All right. Yep. I'm in.
Music doesn't go away.
It never goes away.
It's just constant. Yeah.
So were you in anything before Tantrum Too Blind?
The first band I was in was right out of high school with Levi.
Oh, cool.
Levi Drew.
Riddle class. Woo.
Yeah. Levi and a couple other buddies from school. Barely Deprived. But that lasted a year and a half, and that was it for me as far as being in a band. I did one or two shows, filled in for some people, but that was it.
Did you say dearly deprived?
Beerly.
I was gonna say beerly deprived.
Beerly
That's what I
deprived.
thought I heard, and I was like,
Yep.
wait a sec, we gotta go over this.
Yes,
Like,
beerly deprived.
which is actually an amazing name for
It's
like
the greatest name
for like
of all
a
time.
cover band or something like that. It would be like, these guys are sweet.
Underage, so I mean, it made sense for all of us.
This week at your local bar,
Yeah.
beerly deprived.
Yeah. And every time there was a radio ad, it was either beerly departed, beerly depressed. They never got it right, so it was fun though.
Oh man.
And that was just to basically be able to drink, go to bars underage and drink.
Yeah.
'Cause we're in the band, so
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean that was definitely a thing back then. Nowadays, I don't think it's like not even a possibility
I don't
nowadays.
think so.
you
Yeah,
know?
everything's changed, which is crazy, but
Yeah, some of it's for the better, some of
Yeah.
it's for the
Oh, yeah,
not.
for sure.
It also depends on what side of the fence you're sitting on.
Exactly.
To see whose grass is greener or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
I go for it.
No, yeah, but from then it was like what was that? It must have been 07-ish, 08-ish when that stopped, and then I think I joined Tantrum in 2017. So there was like a 9-year gap where I just played at home, which I enjoy playing enough, so
Yeah.
it didn't bother me.
Yeah, that's a odd parallel to like my story. I did the same thing. Was like in a band out of high school, and then like about the time high school ended, it was like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And then everyone went to college and like moved
Yep.
away and did stuff. And it's like,
Did adult things and grew up a little bit.
yep. And I
Probably.
didn't join a band until like 5 years ago. So
Yeah.
So it's the same deal. Like Basement Rockers, we've got a place out there.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I also think that like some of the Basement Rockers are like oddly more versatile. If you think about it in like a social sense, not to get all like, whoa about this,
Right.
but like people that sit at home and just like read books all day aren't like good at going out and conversing with other people, but they're super smart. So it's kind of like that thing. Like once you start to figure out to go out there into the place and play with other
Right.
people, you're like,
And-
oh, I fit in well in this place. I just had to figure out how I fit in here,
Right. Yep.
That's, I don't know. I feel a little bit of that. Not that I guess it was weird. I never really like wanted to go to like jam nights or like anything like that, or go out into public,
Right.
let anybody see me play even.
Which, I don't know. It's not that I didn't enjoy playing along with people. That's always been fun for me, but I can sit there and play guitar by myself with no music in the background. I can do that for hours, So I'm all over. As long as there's some sort of music going on, I'm pretty happy. So
Yeah, you were saying you like learned Metallica. That was like some of the first stuff you ever learned.
yeah.
So you just like dive in the deep end right away.
Yeah. Well, if it wasn't Metallica, which is like the complete opposite spectrum. It was either Metallica or Nirvana. But either way, when you don't know anything, you shouldn't really try learning other people's songs, I don't think. But Nirvana, I mean, that'd be a good one to start with, I suppose. But
Yeah.
it was probably Master of Puppets, so,
Yeah.
So the worst thing you could possibly start with. Not know how to tune a guitar, but you're going to try to learn, an 8.5 minute song that's nonstop. And yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, you're like bringing back all these like memories of like me trying to learn. It's like you're just like so in the weeds, like right off the get go. Like, I gotta learn how to like tune this thing. And I'm not even good at that. And I gotta
right.
figure out how the song goes. I broke a string. I don't know how to change the
Yep,
strings.
exactly.
But I'm halfway through learning this Metallica song. You
Yeah,
know?
I got to keep going.
Oh man, believe it or not, some of that is like a genius. There's some genius behind that though too.
I mean, you jump right in, so I mean, you're kind of challenging yourself right away, which is probably good. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know that it's the best thing, but I didn't take a lesson until I was probably 4 years into playing. Mm-hmm. Probably more than that, 4 or 5 years into playing. But I mean, that helped tremendously. Tom Stell was a neighbor of ours, lived right across the alley, and he had in his basement, they'd have a jam night every Wednesday or Tuesday. And so me, Levi, a couple other buddies would go down there, listen to them, and kind of learn just by watching,
Yep.
Stuff like that. And yeah, he taught, like, I was so terrible. I used my index and my ring finger to play chords. Mm-hmm. So down here when you're doing an F, you have to stretch your fingers quite a ways.
Yep.
Tom still taught me how to use my pinky, which was huge. When you're playing metal and fast,
Yep.
you need as many fingers as you can to,
Yeah,
go
especially
up and down the neck.
especially the pinky, and that's like a weird one because I feel like when I first started learning guitar, it was easier to get the pinky involved than it was to get my middle finger involved.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. 'Cause it's like,
it
what
does.
place does the middle finger have?
Right.
Like,
What are you doing here? What
yeah, we're never gonna play two notes that close to each other. Like most of the
Right.
time, that doesn't happen. So.
No, no, I agree.
Oh man, that's crazy. Like I like to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You had like a jam night at a guy's house then, pretty much.
Right. And then we kind of took their idea and made it our own. We had a practice space in town where Levi's parents rented this building because he used to ride motocross, and so that was like their shop. And we adapted a part of that area to our band and just practiced down there. It'd be the four of us. Jesus, pretty much all day sometimes, and it wasn't always playing music. It was actually rarely that. Usually drinking and, just
Kid stuff.
yeah, pretty much, causing hell or raising hell, and yeah, we kind of just made that our tradition and and we were really not good, but we were not good together. So like we got really tight musically, but we kind of stuck with the grunge, Weezer, kind of that area, Nirvana, stuff like that. So we kept it pretty simple.
Yeah.
But that's a good way to learn when you're playing with other people.
Yeah.
You know.
You gotta start simple. Like that was the other thing. Like if you had learned how to play Master of Puppets and then everyone else individually did that and then you like came together, it would be like, wait, how are we supposed to do this?
Yeah,
like
right.
it would just train wreck about 3 measures in, I feel,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But if you're playing Nirvana, it's like, well, this one's nice and easy, nothing's too fast. We
Yeah.
all kind of know what parts are coming.
Right.
It's pretty obvious, But I'm trying to think like what are some of the first songs I learned, because I learned like some weird like classical stuff first just for like no reason, and it was like okay, and then I started learning like a lot of I chose a lot of finger picking stuff, which is weird because I am not good at it as an adult. So
Really?
like I just gave up, and then I was kind of like you. I was like, I'm gonna play power chords with 2 fingers,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna do that for like 6 years and think I'm really cool.
Yep. Not learn the notes because that's not cool to know the
that's
chords
not cool.
and notes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start learning the notes. You're like, I could just play with anyone now. Like, I should have done this 10 years ago.
Exactly.
It's, it's unfortunate, but it is also kind of fun that it's that way.
Yeah.
And when you're with your buddies and you're growing up, it's just like, let's all just plug our stuff in and crank it up loud and hit an
Exactly.
E power chord.
Yeah.
Just,
Yep. Everybody.
Yep.
That's pretty much what we did. The Pantera Domination, that breakdown section, I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we used to play that for like 5 minutes at a time. Just din-in-it. It's just constant head banging. Yep, one note.
Oh man, just like it's so hilarious. Like to metalheads out there, like the concept of just like the breakdown's fun because it's like a slow headbangy part in like a very fast song where
Yeah,
you're just
right.
like, wait, what happened?
Holy crap.
And then it's
That
just like,
slowed
this is
down.
heavy right
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
But to just like delete the
Drag
fast
out.
parts and then just do that for 5 minutes is actually like really hilarious in concept.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that stuff's too hard. Let's just do that one note part.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that is actually really, really hilarious. That should be
Yeah.
like a skit or something, like or just like oops, like
Right.
Captain Crunch oops all breakdowns or something.
Right.
Like,
A full album of just breakdowns. I would probably listen to that.
it probably just sounds like a death album at half speed.
Yep. Yeah, good times.
Oh man, so the Flyers actually like finished coming together as a band pretty much like when COVID was happening, which is pretty wild to think that like that's a thing, because most bands were like, and I'm not saying to say most bands, but a lot of bands were like having troubles even playing or breaking up because they couldn't get to one another.
You're right.
And you guys are all kind of around the area. I mean, you're close-ish to each other,
Ish.
but not close to each
No,
other.
not really. It's so practices are when we do them, which has been like twice, I think, is great because I'm kind of in the middle, and then Jesse's way over in Sioux City. Nielsen, our bass player, is in Newell, and Mike, the singer, guitar player, is in Ankeny.
Yeah.
So I'm conveniently like right in the middle because for Tantrum it used to be everyone went to Newell. We had a practice space out there, which is fine. I don't mind driving. It's whatever. But now I'm like just right in the middle, so everyone has to come to me, which is great. The 2 times or 3 times we've had to do it.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's it's a crazy thing you were talking about Mike being in Ankeny. I started working remotely, and one of my coworkers like found out I had a podcast about music, and they were just like, this Mike guy? I live next door to him, and I'm like, what? Like
No
I know,
kidding.
and it was like literally like 2 days after you and I started messaging
really?
each other, and I was like, this is nuts. Such a small world
No
out there.
kidding. It really is.
But it is honestly a small world because like Levi and I know Levi, and you know all the riddled guys, and I know
Yep.
all the riddled guys.
Yeah.
You know,
Good dudes.
and like our paths haven't ever crossed really. even though they like kind of almost have.
Right.
You
and
know?
they probably would have eventually, naturally, but yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a small, it's not really a small, it's actually a pretty good sized group of people that play in this area too. So for somebody to not know somebody that plays, I mean, eventually they probably will, probably even, play a show with them at some point.
Yeah. Like I remember the Reforge Initiative show was one of those shows where it was afterwards it was just like, you were at that show? I was at that show.
Yeah.
Like, we were at the same show together and
Right.
you didn't know that the other person. It's like, well, that was just last week, damn it. Like,
Yep.
Sucks that like two ships passing in the night like that. But
exactly.
it also makes me wonder how much of that stuff actually happens,
Probably more often than you'd probably think.
Huh.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder how many, like, I don't know if you've noticed, but I pay attention to, like, if I'm watching a show, I watch the background and every detail, but, like, every commercial, TV show, movie, every bedroom has a guitar, I feel like. Like, 90% of them, probably. In some bedroom in that house of that TV show, there's a guitar. They're all over the place. Video games.
I'm gonna have to check
Guitars are just like I don't know if they're just a popular thing or something, but it makes you wonder how many people out there play,
I think they're cost effective enough now that the average person could just own one and have it be ornamental.
Right. Yeah, that's probably true too.
Not to say it shouldn't. Or maybe it's just like a relic of a dream that passed or something.
Yeah. Hey, that's true.
I guess like my sister is married and her husband actually like had a guitar and he like off and on will try to play it, but he like loses interest because he just does other stuff.
Right.
It's tough when you have a lot of hobbies to pick up a new one. But
yeah.
So it was one of those things where last time I was out there, I was like, I'm gonna restring this baby and clean it all up or whatever. So I did. I don't know if he ended up playing it or not, but
right. And there's probably a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll learn it eventually, and then they just don't have time or don't realize how much time it takes to learn it.
Yeah. I mean let me ask you this then. So I'm sure your path is not much different than mine. You've put a lot of hours into playing, and regardless of what you think about yourself, you're obviously a pretty good guitar player. So if you knew how much time and energy you would have had to put into this when you first picked the guitar up, would you have just been like, nah, I'm good?
I don't think so. I mean,
because if somebody was like, you're going to, but in 20 years, you're going to have 20,000 hours on this
right.
thing,
music's always been my like go-to thing, whether it's trying to escape from everything else or just do it just to enjoy it. Even if I'm in a good mood, I can play in no matter what mood I'm in. But knowing it would have taken that long, I probably still would have done it. Yeah, probably.
It's just like, it seems so daunting, and I think about that kind of stuff too, though, like knowing how hard I had to work for this just to be as good as I am. Also knowing there's so many people out there that are infinitely better than I am. And it's just like, next time I look at like another hobby, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to work so hard at this just to be okay
decent,
at it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but as long as you enjoy it, that's really all that matters.
That's probably the kicker then, right?
Yeah,
you just enjoy doing it. So
it's, I mean, I'm sure everyone's guilty of it early on, especially. But you're always like, oh man, I can't play this lead. I'm not as good as Kirk Hammett, or I can't do this riff that Dave Mustaine wrote. I'm not that, Everyone compares themselves to, you and me probably would compare ourselves to each other at some point, early on. But you get to an age where you're just like, you're just got to do what you're good at, play your style, things like that. Everyone's got their own style, whether they know it or not, I think. And their tone is a big thing. So everyone's kind of got their own thing going on, whether they know it or not. And it's easy to compare yourself to other people, though, and let that, especially at a young age, bring you down and get, kind of bummed about it. But at some point, you just either got to stop caring or realize they put in the time, so you have to put in the time, and that's about it. I think the best advice I ever got for playing guitar was, if somebody else can do it, you can do it.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimi Hendrix is amazing, and he's, a legend, etc. But, like, he's still also only human.
Yeah, right. Eddie Van Halen,
Yep.
as crazy as he was for his time, which, I mean, yeah, you'd have to put in a lot of time to get good at the tapping and all that stuff he did, But if somebody else can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, even in the same sense, like, there's probably a zillion people out there that are quote unquote better at tapping than Eddie Van Halen.
Right.
But it's just his style was the one that everybody keyed in on so
Right.
much because they're just like, I like the way this guy's doing
Yeah,
it. You know?
this guy, and I mean, it makes you wonder though, would he have been as recognizable if he was in a band that wasn't as good? You know, because I mean, their first album, especially, the songs were, I mean, they were huge songs. I mean,
Yeah.
would he have been as huge if he wasn't in that with that group? You know what I mean?
I would say to other guitar players, yes.
Right.
But to like the average person, no. Because that's like you and I probably like Paul Gilbert, amazing guitarist. But like if you just like walk down the street and was like, you know the guitarist Paul Gilbert, like nobody's
Right.
gonna say yes.
Like 12 out of every 3,000 might
Yeah,
say
yeah,
yes.
exactly. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, no, he was in the band Racer X. And they're like, don't know what you're talking about. Like, Mr. Big, they did this ballad in the 80s. Everyone loved, I'm the one who wants to be with you. You know that song? And people are just like, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Who are you? Get away from me.
Go away.
Yeah.
Don't know this dude, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, that's another thing I like to think about is how many guitarists out there are just so insanely good.
Yeah.
And you and I probably follow the same thing where it's like we're really keyed into like the 80s and 90s like shredder type dudes,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
But nowadays, like, there's so many shredders out there that they're like almost indistinguishable from the next, you know? And
Yeah,
there's,
right.
I mean, you're talking about like the guys Steve Vai brought on tour with him that also splintered apart and have their own bands and their own solo
Right.
projects and things like that.
Right.
And, I mean, there's also all the YouTube guitarists and things, you know? And
It's just, there's an overload of, especially when something gets popular, then there's going to be a million people following that, trying to mimic it. So after a while, it becomes kind of watered down, and that's what I don't know, music today. It's not. I mean, there's a lot of good music out there, but you have to really look for it. Going to shows is probably the best way. Levi and I actually just went to see Chevelle in Clive Tuesday night.
cool.
Yeah, who the hell was the first band? Stellar Circuits.
All right.
Never heard of them, but they were fantastic. They were kind of a Chevelle Tool mixture, very maybe a little Deftones, kind of spacey, but very heavy. But yeah, that's the best way to find music anymore because you listen to the radio, it's going to sound like everything. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't until people are going to be like, you're a traitor, but it wasn't until I got Spotify that I was just like, started really like getting weird with what I liked with music.
Yeah.
And it made me think, like, it made me feel a certain way about music that I couldn't phoneticize until I ironically heard somebody else on a different, like, live stream talking about it. And they said that, like, music has become a niche thing. So, like, back in the day, there was only so many CDs that could pack into, like, an FYE, right? You know?
Yep.
And, I mean, you and I would stick to the rock and the metal.
Yep.
And then some people go to the country section. There was a rap section. There's a world section that nobody went into,
Yep.
you know?
Nobody knew what it was. They just stayed away from there.
Yeah, but that's also like, would a band like Polyphia fit in there, you know? And some
Right.
people would be like, I don't know, this is like instrumental and it's like, it's not heavy because all the guitars are clean, but I don't know
Right.
how to describe what's going on here. you
Yeah.
know?
Well, that's the thing about metal and rock. You can do anything, and as long as there's somewhat of a heavy or dark vibe, I guess, or something heavy about it, it's going to be considered metal. But there's so many. I'm on a Marth, Viking metal. What other genre has Viking? There's no Viking country. You know what I mean? As much as I'd love to hear somebody try, it's
would
not
be
out
amazing.
there. Right. I want it to happen, but it hasn't yet.
The next Fonda Flyers album is called Viking Country.
Which actually sounds like kind of a metal album. It's
Oh my
Viking
gosh.
country, but
The album covers like a map and it's just like different Vikings all over on
right,
the map. It's like a
exactly.
country, like an
Yep.
established country.
yep.
Oh, man.
But yeah, that's the beauty of heavy music. You can do anything, venture out. You don't have to stick to a straight line. You can do anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's very few genres that even could fit that. Like, punk, maybe. But even with punk, it's just like 70s punk, or are you 80s punk?
Right.
Or were you 90s punk? Or were you, like, the early 2000s punk?
Yep.
Or were you the, like, later pop punk stuff?
Yep.
Or were you the, like, the more emo punk that came
Right.
after? You know, so
Yep.
there's, like, only a handful of different genres where, like you said, metal... You and I are definitely fans of thrash metal. You know, that's one where people are just like, it's all the same to me. It's just noise. But, like, to you and I, we can tell the difference,
Right.
which is kind of also crazy to think that. So, like, I wonder if people in the country world have the same thing, where they're just like, oh, that 90s country, that's the stuff that you don't want to listen, or whatever,
Right. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I mean, for every genre, which I'm guilty of it, I think most country sounds the same. I mean, today's country is more pop-ish,
Yep.
hip-hop-ish, I don't know.
Yep.
It's not, like, when I grew up, music was always in the house, and for the most part, it was country for me at an early age. Unless my dad was around, if we were in his vehicle, it was Black Sabbath, Alice in Chains,
Cool.
which at that age, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever years old, scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
To be honest. Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath is the most terrifying thing for a young child. I despised it. And then eventually, it's like people evolve, we, grow up and eventually I learned to love it, But early on in life, it scared the shit out of me.
That's so weird. Like, I never thought about that. Because it's the same way with me. Like, when I was growing up, like, I grew up with, like, Roy Orbison and stuff. Because my parents are kind of, like, older.
Yep.
I remember, like, when I was really young and I heard, like, one of the first Smashing Pumpkins songs. I was like, this is crazy music.
Yeah.
And it was just
What
like,
the hell is this?
And it's just the Smashing Pumpkins. It's not like it's Guar or something, or Cannibal Corpse. Yeah, it's like, it's just Smashing Pumpkins.
Right, but at that age, it's like, holy crap, there's distortion, and what the hell is this?
Saw a picture of Billy Corgan. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's scary looking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, he's just a normal guy.
You're right. Yeah, but
so
at
weird.
that age, Black Sabbath scared the shit out of me.
Oh, that's wild.
Terrifying.
You're bringing up some hilarious stuff here, man.
Alice in Chains, oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Because the Dirt album, that image will always be in my head. He always had, which, I'm dating myself and how old I am, but he had the cassette tape. That, We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll, Black Sabbath's album. Soundgarden, Super Unknown was in there, all of it. He'd put it on. I'm just like, oh my God, get me out of here. This is terrifying. I can't be listening to this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, do you think you're influenced by that? Like, and ended up like, without knowing it, like as an adult, coming into being an adult, just being like, oh, that actually like.
Looking back, maybe a little bit, but honestly, it was slow transitions for me, really, because my first musical, whatever you want to call it, love, or I was a big Aaron Tippin fan, country singer back in the 90s, maybe 80s, I don't remember. But it was that, and then I slowly worked my way into rock music. I think my first rock album I had was probably an Everclear album or Wallflowers. It was either One Headlight or Bring Down the Horse or So Much for the Afterglow by Everclear. One of those two albums.
That music was insanely popular.
Yeah.
When you and I were like preteen, teenager area.
Right.
Yep.
And so I was huge into the Wallflowers. I think it was probably them first, and then Everclear, and then, boy, I think my older brother brought home this mixtape. Not a mixtape. It was the full S&M Metallica show at the Symphony.
Oh,
and
cool.
I remember putting that in, and I heard the orchestra. I was like, huh, this is kind of cool. I'll keep listening. And it gradually builds into them, joining the orchestra, and it's rock music with an orchestra. I was like, holy crap, this is freaking wild. And boy, I just fell in love with that. And so that's when my love for Metallica started. And boy, from there, moved on to System of a Down, gradually got a little heavier, just kept working towards the super heavy screaming, stuff like that. And yeah, the rest is history.
I was a late bloomer to System of a Down. It wasn't until they came out with Mesmerize and Hypnotize.
Oh, really?
Because there was all the talk was like they're going to release a double album.
Yep.
And it might and probably is going to be their last album.
Yep.
And it was like leading up to that. When it finally came out, I was just like, oh my gosh. And I was like, wait, there's only one CD here. And they kind of like split it in half and release it as two. And if you bought them both, like this is how old we are. Yep. If you bought both of the CDs, you could take the covers and tuck them into each other and make a double disc CD,
right.
Which is actually insanely cool.
Yeah, it was a good idea.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, they could have put both on one because they were both very short albums. Mm-hmm. So you guys are just trying to make more money, but hey, it's whatever.
They did, and it worked, and it was great. That's something I think a lot of us as like independent musicians don't like. We don't want to do the marketing thing because like it feels kind of dirty, jumping into that or whatever.
Heaven forbid you take people's money for something you did.
Yeah,
and,
something you worked hard for that they enjoy.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, that's like you just said about like System. It's just like, oh, I could have put it on one album. Those dirty dogs, you know. But at the same time, like, you know,
did those 10 songs work better by themselves than putting them with that? I mean, looking back,
absolutely,
I was pissed. But now it's like, okay, that as a whole worked better than putting them together. You know, like concept albums are my favorite of all time.
Absolutely,
Animals by Pink Floyd is.
It's great.
One of my favorite albums of all time.
Oh, really? Jeez.
Yeah, it's towards the top.
That's crazy. I mean, because a lot of people it's just. I mean, that's not like crazy. Like, oh my God, you're a lunatic.
Yeah, right.
But a lot of people think like, Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall. Like, those two. That's it. Like, those are the only two Pink Floyd albums that exist.
Which The Wall doesn't do a lot for me. It's good, but I like Animals so much that it kind of overshadows The Wall for me. Dark Side of the Moon's great. I mean. I don't know. It's towards the top for me too, but I love those concept albums where it's like you just go on this journey. You know, you start it and it all just tells you a story. Are you familiar with Between the Buried and Me?
Yeah, I know.
It's like a metal version of Pink Floyd, kind of.
I've actually, God, I want to say I've seen them live.
Really?
Once, maybe. I've been to like literally like 1,000+ concerts in my days, so like it's tough to remember all of the bands. Because some of the ones I saw coming up are now like the established bands where it's like, oh, man, I saw them once.
Yeah,
you know?
when they were like young and up and coming, and now they're just all over. Yeah. Yeah, I was supposed to see Between the Buried and Me, and then COVID ruined that for me.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so rough.
Yeah, it sucks, but it'll get back to somewhat normal eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's already, that's the weird thing, is it's like, it feels almost like it's back to normal, but kind of not. Because a lot of people are going back out, but some people are going back in now, and I mean,
everyone's got an opinion, and
I mean,
nobody really knows anything.
No. I mean, we're all getting information third hand.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
It's not like any of us have lab coats on.
Yeah, right.
I know definitively by personal experience that this, or whatever.
Test results that I saw.
Yeah, I gotta send them down to the lab, which is also me because I'm a scientist.
Right, exactly.
Oh my gosh, it's so hilarious, but it's also not. It does suck because it like squashed a lot of opportunities for shows. So like, you guys being a band that just pretty much started last year, during the summer there was a wide opportunity for people to play music last year, and then for some reason in the winter it just like squeezed back down into almost nothing.
Right,
and then it kind of opened back up again.
Right, because pre-Fonda Flyers, they were called JV Squad, I think. When they were doing the three-piece thing, it was Mike, Josh Nielsen, and their other drummer. And then they changed the name to Fonda Flyers probably a year and a half ago, maybe, right around there. Like you said, COVID time.
I think if I remember reading in the bio, it was like June or somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere around there, yep. But, it's a weird thing which, I mean... Like you said, if you're not playing shows, what else does a band do? But, I mean, and Mike had a lot of the songs on the new album pretty much already written. I think the Saint Arson was, I don't write riffs every day, but if I playing guitar and I play something, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool, so I record it, and I sent him probably 24, 10, 20-second clips of just a riff. And he turned that opening to St. Arson into that whole song, and we kind of, hashed up the details, made it longer, added the lead parts, all that stuff later. But, the majority of the stuff he already had written. I think I had to write maybe 4 or 5 different guitar parts for the whole album, you know? So I didn't have much to do with it. But, I mean, he's been writing songs since... I think he started playing college when he first got into college. So I mean, he's been writing songs ever since he kind of started playing, as far as I know. So yeah, it was
You must have read the band bio too, then.
Maybe.
That's actually almost like word for word. Exactly. Yeah, like you went to college and got an acoustic and started learning to play.
Yeah, I have to know the story or they're gonna kick me out. If I don't know the story, all right, stop showing up to shows. We're done with you. But. Yeah, COVID. It was a weird time to to kind of join. Well, see, when I joined, like a month later is when COVID was huge. So it was just weird. The timing, you kind of got something going and then it just stops and it's like, what the hell do we do now?
Yeah.
So record an album, I guess, which I think a lot of people did.
Which is the smart thing to do, I think, honestly.
Which is kind of great.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it remotely if you need to. You can do it isolated if you need to. There's so many ways around it to make it
now
still
there's
a possibility.
Now there's this abundance of new music, and I'm still catching up on music from the 70s and 80s, that I haven't heard. But, that's a good problem to have.
That is a wild thing to think of, though, too. Like, back in the day, I feel like in, like, the 50s and 60s, there was just a pile of music.
Yeah.
Like, they just kept releasing albums and covers and albums and singles. And then in, like, the 70s, it kind of just squished back down into not a whole lot. Like, disco kind of was there, and there was some rock.
Right.
Then the 80s hit, and it felt like it just blew up again. It was just like, there's 500 hair metal bands. Deal with it, Like, okay.
Yep.
And so, like, I feel like we're back in one of those times where there's just a lot of content.
An abundance.
Even on the local level. Like, I'm finding out it's like I can't even keep track of all of the bands, you know? Even in just like this area-ish, you know?
100-mile radius. Yeah. There's a lot going on, which is great.
Yeah.
It gives you something to look, like I said, you have to look for good music anymore, and that's kind of a fun way to do it. When you probably know more, obviously, local people than I do, but it's like, he's got this project going, I'll check that out. And then, like, I think Neil Anders and Brothers Merritt, did they release an album?
I don't know if they got an album released yet. That's the thing. I don't have my finger that deeply on the pulse.
Yeah,
I know they're playing out, though.
Yeah, right, which is cool. There's so many, like, different, like, those guys, which when they're busy, that means I get to fill in with Riddled, Nick and Levi, which is fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Jesse and I are actually playing 3 shows with them next month.
Nice.
Which is fun. I love filling in with any musicians, really. And those guys are fun.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of same style music that we play anyways. So. And then, it's a change of pace, which is fun.
Yep.
Kind of going in there, not underprepared, but not entirely knowing how it's going to go.
Yep.
That's exciting for me.
Yeah, there is some excitement to that. I mean, I'm sure the first time you went in, you were just like, pooping your pants, like, oh my God, what's going to happen here? I mean, I'm prepared, but like, you never know. Something might derail halfway through one of these songs.
Right, which is fun for me. I mean, I don't practice as much as I should for shows. I play guitar way too much, but I'm guilty of not preparing too much for a show, so I'm just kind of loose, and I'm more of a vibe-oriented player, and like lead parts, I don't, unless it's a well-recognized lead that I'm not going to learn every lead note for note. I'm going to do it my way, and so basically I play them all different every time we play. But playing with Riddled is fun. And I don't get too nervous for shows. I know I'm going to mess up here and there, That's kind of actually the fun part of it, and then seeing the other guy's reaction and heckling each other, and everyone else is like, it sounded good to us, but after the show, you always have to give each other crap. Oh, I heard that mess up on this song, and
what was that on the bridge of this? It's just
we played it 1,000 times. You just still don't know it. But that's kind of fun. I love not, Tantrum is still fun for me. The songs that we play, it's a little heavier, not super heavy, but it's more grungy, that kind of stuff. But we didn't delve out too far from our normal set list, so that kind of became, redundant. But I mean, I still love playing live, so that it didn't ruin it for me by any means. But like getting to fill in with other people and having that new feel and new vibe, energy.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, and honestly, especially when you're like gear changing that much from like one band to the next, you know? Because I mean, like I play in a punk band in Des Moines, and then for a while I was in like a metal band that was kind of based out of like, for a while like Cedar Rapids, but then for a while Des Moines. And then I started playing country music, or like mostly country music with Jesse Wilson. So I'm like kind of just genre hopping here.
Yeah, that's fun though.
The metal band doesn't exist anymore, but I still got the punk and country, which are like opposites.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're also like, I feel like cousins,
right?
Like to an extent, because like folk and punk, I think would be like long lost brothers,
Right.
And folk's not too far off of country, maybe.
Not really. Yeah, there's some similarities there for sure, but it's still fun because you've got the energy. Even if it's kind of the same, the energy is a little different. So it's especially when you get to do it live, it's just always more fun. So
Yeah.
and different people. That's always fun.
So how do you feel about, like, because I'm sure the Fond of Flyers only having one album out, to play like a full show out at night, like you have to pull some covers in, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We are all over the place. I'm talking from
Good.
Yeah, from Good by Better Than Ezra.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, exactly. To country, I should know the names, but Leonard Skinnard, Freebird. I mean, we're all over the place, and it's fun. Matchbox 20, Backstreet Boys. I shouldn't say it, but yeah, we play a Backstreet Boys song.
I still think that's awesome. Like, throw a pop song in there. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Oh yeah, and then I mean, these guys are. All three of them are so talented, and they've been playing for a long time that they can just, you'll be playing something. It's like, oh, that's the same chord progression as a Britney Spears song. So let's and Michael starts singing Britney Spears, and it's like, okay, well, and the crowd loves it.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, especially when you're drunk. I'm a metalhead. You're probably the same way. You get drunk, it's like, oh, I want to sing along to Four Non Blondes.
I will say yes, I did quit drinking, but yes, I am. I'm the exact same way still, though. Like the guilty pleasure stuff was always like some of my favorite. Like, I grew up like a staunch metalhead and like almost never ever deviated at all, unless it was just like Steve Vai's really cool, or like Stevie Ray Vaughan's awesome, or Jimi Hendrix or whatever. But every now and then I'm just like, like bumping like "Call Me Maybe" in my car, just like fist pumping in the air, like
getting after it.
Just be like, what the heck is that guy doing?
What is wrong with that man?
He's got long hair and an Iron Maiden shirt on. He's listening to "Call Me Maybe" for some reason.
No, I'm the same way. I'll listen to any. I mean, I shouldn't say it, but I don't really have a guilty pleasure, because if it's good, it's good. Yeah. I mean, Hootie and the Blowfish, who doesn't love some Hootie every now and again?
That's true.
I mean, there are some.
I'd still put that in a guilty pleasure column.
Would you?
Yeah.
I have no pride. I mean, so I'm not ashamed of anything. I have a Katy Perry CD. I'm not embarrassed about it.
Oh my god,
she's got some hits.
I'm a Carrie Underwood kind of guy.
Oh yeah?
So,
I don't blame you.
She's on The Voice now, I think. I don't watch that though.
No, I haven't either. See, that's the kind of show for me that I just won't. I mean, who doesn't love a good singer? But for me, it's about music. Yeah. The fact that there's lyrics or vocals at all in a lot of the music I listen to is just kind of a plus. It's like, I don't really care. It's there, but I always kind of just lean towards the music side of it. And if the music's good right from the beginning, it's like, oh, cool. Somebody's singing too, whatever.
Oh, let me ask you this. Do you do any singing in the band along with Mike?
The last show that we played, that I got to play with them, I wasn't able to make the last one that we actually had because I was sick. But the last one I played, I did bring a mic, and I did throw in some backing vocals.
Nice.
I normally don't, because, I mean, Nielsen's such a he could be a lead singer for a band, but he does fantastic harmonies. Our drummer throws in harmonies. It's like, I don't really need to. It's not, and then people are always like, oh, you're the only one in the band without a mic. It's like, how many people need to sing? You know what I mean? There's 3 people doing it already.
That's true. Yeah. So. I mean, I only backup sing out of necessity, but I'm also the same way, where it's like, if other people can sing good, I'm just like, you do it. Yeah. I'm not doing this.
Right. And I don't mind doing it. I mean, and like for when we do a 3-piece, Nielsen, Jesse, and myself, I'll do backup vocals. I even did lead vocals on one time, which hopefully it never happens again, because I don't know. It was probably terrible. But like when you're doing something, I don't know if it's just me. I know I'm making noise, but I can't tell if it's good or not, because I'm not really focused that much on what I'm doing. Yeah. Just that I'm doing it at the right time.
Yeah, the internal mechanics are taking over instead of like what's on the external. Yeah, right. I totally get that. Yeah.
It's like, I think something's happening, but we'll see. No one's booing yet, so.
Yeah, I just think about, like, that's awesome when your brain, like, it's just like, this part's got to keep going, and you start like mush mouthing through words, but you're just like, your brain's still just like, keep forcing the words out, like,
say something, dummy.
Yes,
just keep talking. something's better than nothing.
And I mean, that's actually a lesson to learn on the guitar, though. Like, if you're playing the guitar by yourself, you can just start and stop whenever you want.
Yeah.
When you're with a band, they don't all just stop when you stop. You got to keep going.
You got to keep doing something, even if you're messing up. Like, so the last show that I played, we threw in "Perfect Situation" by Weezer, which we played in that first band I was in, so I've known it for years and years. But I know what an F sharp, the key it's normally in, and they started it in F. And right off the get-go, there's that lead part, and we get about 10 seconds in, and I'm like, something's not going well. I mean, something's off here, and I hate to say it, but I think it's me. And I was like, and I knew I was playing the right notes for how I normally play it, but they were playing in a note or a key lower, so I was like, shit, I gotta adjust, and this is not sounding well at all.
So lo and behold, it wasn't your fault at all. It was all of their fault.
Yeah,
everyone else was wrong.
Exactly.
And you were right.
That's 75% of the band really made me look like an idiot. Which, I mean, it's not the first time. It definitely won't be the last, but it's one of those things where, like, I'm sure you've noticed, like, when you learn something at a young age, or like when you're first starting, and it's like 10 years later, you're like, oh, I'm not doing that right at all. It's hard to relearn it the right way.
Yeah.
There's a ton of Metallica songs, which for 5, 6, 7 years, I played it a certain way, and then you actually learn how to play, and it's like, that's not how that goes, but it's hard to do it the right way.
Yeah.
Because I've learned it the wrong way.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get that. I'm still out there singing "Hold Me Closer," Tony Danza. You know,
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. I never really learn. I can't.
Yep.
Just don't know how.
Yep.
Those are still the right words to me. No, I totally get it though. Like, I feel like your brain just isn't ingrained. Like, this is the way it is, and it has to be. And you start like tricking your brain into hearing that. Like, even if you're listening to the album,
Right.
Which is one of the reasons I feel like it's tough to cover music. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I take your approach usually with leads, where it's just like, let's start off close to how the lead starts, and then just take off into something else that's completely different, you know?
However, like, the vibe or the energy of the room, let's just kind of do it this way this night, and the next night it might be different.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. I mean, do you feed off the people in the room then, totally, I'm assuming, because, like...
Yeah, kind of. It's more or less how the show in general is going. Like, if it's a really good set, and towards the end of the set there's a song with a lead, I tend to do it with a little more energy, or I don't know if it sounds better, but it feels like it does. When the show's going good, and when the show's going bad, which I mean, or average, you just kind of get in the you follow that line where it's just going a certain way, and you don't delve too far. Like, if a show's going really good, I'll try throwing in some tapping, which I should never do, and I'll get adventurous, and it's like, oh boy, I should have maybe just not done that. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Oh man, I've come to like doing that on like one song where I did it once as a joke, and like everyone in the place was like, "What the heck is going on?"
Yeah.
And it was as dumb as it sounds. The song was "Cherry Baby," and I'm just like, I'm gonna throw a tapping solo in here and see what happens.
It needs to happen. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, seriously, people are just like, "What is it?" They're just snapping their necks, turning around, like it doesn't fit.
Yep.
Not like it was like the greatest tap solo ever, but it just doesn't fit,
Right.
Like,
which is sometimes kind of fun to try. I mean, it's not something you're going to practice at home. It's like, this doesn't match with this, but live, it's like, it's a good time to try it. See how people react. You never know.
Yeah, it's like, who put jelly beans in my pumpkin pie over here?
Exactly.
I'm not mad about it. It's just a little weird is all.
You could have told me. Exactly.
Oh, it's hilarious. So you guys with the Fonda Flyers actually recently shot a music video too, and that came out.
Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago, maybe?
Yeah, it just came out like not too long ago, honestly. So
yeah, that was fun.
What was the experience of that like?
It was a blast. It took like 3.5 hours is all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty quick. We
you guys were working. There's a lot of camera angles, a lot of stuff happening in that music video.
We were getting after it. It was fun though. I've never shot one before. Mike and I were talking, threw some ideas around, and just kind of pieced it together. Did it. There's the little fight scene, the basketball scene, which I'm sure did you watch it? Mm-hmm. I'm sure I looked like a great actor. I looked tired. That was legit. I was sweating. I was exhausted.
That's hilarious.
They made me run like 4 times, so I was dying.
I gotta be honest. Here's this one. Okay, so I watched it once, about a third of the way through. I'm like, stellar production. I'll finish this off later. and then I like turned it on again later. I'm like, the hell are they LARPing for in this? Like, I watched the first part and I did not think it was going to go to a fight scene.
You're right. It goes all over the place.
It's nuts.
Yeah, which I think all of us are pretty big Foo Fighters fans, and you watch their music videos and Blink 182. It's just goofy, having fun. Why not?
Yeah.
Shooting serious stuff. Boring.
Yeah.
You gotta have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, you're like kind of telling a story,
Right?
and almost every like music video has like a ludicrous story.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like at least all the super memorable ones. It's like, what the heck is going on here? Like,
Right.
I'm trying to think of like some of the ones off the top of my head. All I can think of is like Everlong by Foo Fighters. It's it's like a dream a guy's having.
Right.
You know.
Or which one is it by Blank? Rock Show? That one's. Yeah, Rock Show's kind of fun. They're just driving around in the van, I think, spending money.
Yep. Yeah, I think that might be the one.
First Date. That's what I was thinking of. Where it's kind of like a 70s. They're out in this. I think they're kind of in the 70s. He's got the wig on. Yeah, that's a fun one.
Now you're just making me think of Sabotage by Beastie
Boys,
Boys,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
another one. It's like, what the hell are they doing?
You're
They're like
right.
70s cop show?
Right.
Like, they're all out there in like tweed suits, like
Right.
sliding over the hoods of cars.
Got the need for tweed.
Oh, man.
Yeah, videos are fun, though. How would you guys shot one yesterday?
Yeah. Who shot your music video?
Tim.
Yeah, Tim Fox?
Yep.
I think that's his last name.
Probably.
I think
It
so.
is now.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry if I mispronounced it and embarrassed everybody. Don't beep that out. But yeah, he's actually made like music videos for like Scott Kirkhart and like he made another one for Jesse Wilson, and that was like something that was super cool. Was he had everything set up, and then we like did a few takes, and it was just he's just like, all right, we got that shot. And I'm like, you got it. Like that's it. Like we only did a couple takes, and he's just like, no, I got it. He'll show you what you got. It's like, oh damn, that's a good take, dude. So he like obviously knows what he's doing,
Yeah,
which is like
very talented.
which is super wild because Jesse was like, hey, while we got you here, take a couple promo pictures of me and throw them in there too, and I'll get that covered. And so he's just like, all right, stand over here, go like this and go like this, and I'm gonna move this light. And he stands up and he takes about 6 pictures. It's like, what do you got there? And he shows it to me. I'm like, oh, that's the coolest picture I've ever seen in my life.
I just cried a little bit. That is beautiful.
It's amazing, and it's so cool when you like have somebody like that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, especially with like I don't know. Have you ever been in one before?
I've actually like made a couple, but
really?
I'm just a novice. I'm just dinking around,
right?
You know?
Which is still fun, but like
yeah,
I don't know.
Came out okay, but
well, those three shot one for the song Tripwire, which I think they were just playing a show, and I think he just recorded them for like a live version of the song or whatever. But I mean, it was the first time that we actually did theatrics like that, and it went really well because like you said, he just knows. All right, let's do this. You stand here, and then 3-4 takes. It's usually done.
Yeah, and it's like mind blowing because I'm one of those people. It's like I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm taking 20 takes of this.
Right.
You know, like,
You watch videos. It's like God, that had taken forever to shoot, and
yeah, like you said, 3.5 hours and you were done.
I was like, oh,
It's
that wasn't
wild.
so bad.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's very talented. That was fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I was talking to him the other day, and he's like, well, this isn't even like what I usually do. I mean, he's like a photographer, videographer for other things, but people just hire him for this.
Right.
And he does that good of a job that people are like, you're hired again, buddy.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
I don't know if it's what he wants to do with his
I
time,
think
but
so. Which I don't know if he wants me to. Whatever. But last time I talked to him, he enjoys doing the photography thing, but he said he loves doing the music video stuff.
Oh, cool.
Which is great because, like you said, it's so good. Who's not going to have him do it again?
Yeah, exactly.
And he's got the equipment for it, so.
Yeah.
And God, we shot that, and it took him, by the time we got done tweaking things here and there, about a month, not even a month, and it was, the finished product.
Oh, crazy.
I think it was like 4 days later, and he had us, like, the first, take of it. He sent us all, like, a sample, and I thought the first one was, perfect.
Yeah.
But, Mike had a vision for it, said, oh, let's try this here, whatever, and boy, yeah, he's good at what he does.
Yeah.
So
I love it when those videographers, like, that's how you know a good one. Because, like, when I made mine, I was like, here's my first take. What do you think? And they were like, it's good. I'm like, all right, I'm done. Like, I'm not gonna polish this up
you
at all.
just said it was good.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
we're done.
but that's like being like, I'm starving. What do you got to eat? And I was like, Jack's Pizzas. You're like, sounds good. Let's eat it.
Exactly.
But to somebody who like is just like, you're eating Jack's Pizzas.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go. Somebody make me a nice one. I'm gonna go to a fancy place.
You're
Give me
right.
some wood fired pizza or
Exactly.
something. And that's what
Yep.
he's doing over there.
Exactly. The
Wood fired pizza. Yeah. He's taking care of it.
Yep.
He's prepping it
He's
up on
the gourmet.
Yeah, he's prepping it on the front end and the back end.
Yep.
Yeah, it's wild when you run into people like that know what they're doing, and it's cool because I feel like there's a lot more of those people popping up into the music scene, willing to help out in some way, whether it be with like promo pics or videography or going to live shows and snapping pics and just sharing them online or whatever.
Which he shot when Tantrum opened for Lit in Truesdale back in 2018 or 17. He shot pictures for that. He shot pictures for us at Lake Creek Fest, I think it's called. In Storm Lake, maybe? He shot pictures for that. So we've worked with him before. And he's always done, I mean, his pictures were great. And, yeah, the video's, fantastic. So he's good at what he does.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah, if you guys haven't checked the music video out, definitely check it out. I think there's a link to it on the website. Otherwise, your Facebook page.
Facebook. It's on YouTube now.
Yep.
It's a fun video.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
It's definitely hilarious. Like I said, like the first time I watched it, at first I was just like, awesome, good production. They went whole hog on this. It's a good deal.
Yep.
I'll finish it when I'm not busy.
Yeah.
And I came back to it, and like I said, it was just like, wait a second, they're LARPing? Like, what's this all about? And it even keeps going from there. So, like,
Right.
I'm not even, like, breaking the tip of the iceberg on this. It's a really good music video. It's a fun story.
It was a good time.
Totally worth checking out at least once. Watch it all the way through. It keeps changing. Just like the music does, ironically.
Yeah. Which is kind of fun. It keeps you interested, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
It's multi-flavored, for sure.
I feel like, let's see what we got on the notepad here. Did I talk about everything I had written down? We got that. The new album, A-OK Inferno. It's available everywhere for streaming. It's I listened on Spotify. I know you can buy copies of it if you want to digitally off of their website. So if you guys are looking to purchase it, that's definitely a place you can do that. Great album. Like I said, how many songs are on it?
10 songs. It's just under 40 minutes, I think. Right around the 40-minute mark.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. The dual, the two lead parts in St. Arson helps us get close to the 40-minute mark, which I'm kind of weird about. I think, for me, like a full album should be 35 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
That feels like, which is weird for me because the Acacia Strain, I'm a big fan of theirs. Like their second album was like 28 minutes long, and 8 minutes of it was just like weird talking at the end. So short, hardcore albums are not strangers to me, but when you're listening to a full album, Metallica's no stranger to 50, 60-minute, albums and Pink Floyd, all that. But yeah, it's 10 songs, 40 minutes. Quite the journey. You got your energetic songs, your slower ones here and there throughout, mixed in. I mean, Any Other Way, that song kind of to me feels like a dance, like a 70s dance song kind of. The music especially, Nielsen does this incredible like walking bass line throughout it. It's like that was the hardest part for me on the album, like when I had to write stuff for it. It's like the songs are so great without me doing anything. What the hell do I do to make them better?
Yeah, what can I add to this?
And not distract from the other great things that are happening.
Yep.
That was the hardest part for me, to be honest.
Which actually, that comes back to the best advice I ever got. I've said this on like 15 podcasts in the last 50s, but it's stay out of the way until it's your turn to get in the way, and then get in the way.
Yep.
And that's like, I feel like such a weird art form to learn. And everyone does that differently too.
Oh yeah.
Finding
that timing for what you need to do to make something better, to give the song that little spark of energy or that little extra flavor. And it's easier to listen to songs like when they're done, like songs that have been written already, and be like, oh, they should have done this here, or dive into it and be like, wow, that was a great idea to throw this in right here. It's that's the beauty of music, listening. Like when I listen to a song, I could listen to the same song 4 times and hear something different, because I always focus on, obviously right off the bat, you hear whatever happens first. Like if it's an energetic guitar song, you're focused on the guitar. The next, I'll listen to the drums, bass, listen to everything separately, and then just kind of drown out everything and hear if there's, is there a cowbell in there, something that nobody would notice,
oh man, first album Motley Crue, there's a cowbell in every song, pretty much.
Really?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
That was like something funny I learned when I started like digging into that 80s metal when I was still in high school. But Yeah, I do a little bit of that too. I'm not the best at picking out certain parts. Like the drum parts are always like mind blowing to me. It's like the drummers are just like, oh, he's doing this stuff, and I was like, how can you even tell? Like,
Yeah, what the hell
it's
does that
probably
mean?
because I don't play.
Yeah.
I'm not. I do, but I'm not good at it. So
Right.
like that's not me just being like humble. I'm just not good at the drums.
Right.
So, like,
No, I completely understand.
But so like when people are trying to pick that stuff out, it's like my brain doesn't isolate and listen to that for some reason.
Oh yeah. No, like Everlong. Like, you brought the video up earlier. It's like that hi-hat constant. It's like,
Yep.
holy shit. Like, listening to it as a guitar player, I can tell he's busy. But then watching somebody play it, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that we have to play this.
Yeah,
but
I'm glad it's you and not me, buddy.
yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding. Enjoy.
Yeah, could you imagine if the guitar part for that song was that busy?
Yeah. It would be kind of fun, I guess. But
Yeah.
boy. Yeah, it just looks exhausting watching somebody play. I always feel, which, drummers, when they're good, if they're willing to try it, Everlong, songs like that, they're obviously good. So
Yeah.
it always makes me wonder, is it that hard, or is it just because I don't know what the hell I would have to do?
Yeah.
You know?
Could it be if we just got over that first hump of
Yeah.
like the beginnings of
Right.
learning how to drum? Like,
Yeah.
could we just do it then, or what? I don't know. Some of it's got to be technique though too. I mean,
Right.
we talked about that earlier, like learning guitar. Like when we first learned, we were just ham-fisting stuff, and now that we know some technique, it's like, oh, it's easier to play this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to a guy that lives in town here. I saw him at a wedding last weekend, and he was like, "Hey, I started learning guitar." I'm like, "Oh, how's that going?" He's like, "Well, first I was like, how do these people memorize where all their fingers are?" I'm like looking up tabs and trying to like read sheet music and stuff, and then like a few months in, it just clicked like, oh, this is just a bar chord they're holding like the whole time, and it's
Right.
like, and he's like. After that, it was just like a light bulb went off in my
Yeah.
head. I'm like, yeah, that's that weird, like, before you know what the direction behind the technique actually is,
Exactly.
you're like just out there ham-fisting the stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just memorizing crazy note patterns
You're
here. I
right.
don't know what's going on.
Nothing makes sense. I'm just doing what they tell me to do.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh shit, there is a reason for all of this.
Yeah.
This note goes with this note, and I mean, music's not as complicated as it sounds to most people, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, once that light clicks, it's like, oh shit, I've been making this far more difficult than I need to for
Yeah.
the last decade.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but some of that also comes down to like not having the availability to like have. If we just had all day free, we could just sit down and learn stuff
Right.
forever on the guitar. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, we all gotta have jobs and
Yeah,
do stuff.
that's true.
But
Very unfortunate.
it is a nice runaway hobby to have on the side.
Right,
though.
exactly. Yep.
Oh man, well we got over an hour in here. Is there anything we didn't talk about that you want to talk about?
Boy, I'm sure I could think of something to get me going. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll put some links down below. I'll put the website link, the Facebook link, Instagram, and YouTube link. If you go to the YouTube channel, the music video, the new one is on there, so check
Yeah.
it out. Otherwise, if you just want a one-stop shop, the website's got everything you need as well.
Yeah,
There's links
yep.
to everything there. Band bios.
Listen to the whole album right there.
Yeah.
There's a media player at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, you don't
Hit play, and it'll just keep going.
do it right now. No, you don't even have to have a Spotify or anything like that
No.
crazy. You just go there and listen, or you can
Yeah.
go to YouTube and watch. You can watch the music video.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's everywhere. We're trying to. It's one of those things. Look professional, and eventually you'll be professional. I think.
Yeah,
Fool people.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of my favorite and least favorite sayings. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
But nobody's out there faking it, really. You're actually
Yeah.
you're out there doing stuff.
Right,
you know?
we are. Yeah, but
You know?
some bands they just look professional, so everyone thinks they are. And I mean, I'm not saying that's what we're doing, but we've definitely put in the time, and Mike's been killing it.
Funny bone.
Oh, I'm good.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, hats off to Mike and everybody in
Yeah.
the band. You guys are out there killing it. I can't wait till everything's like quote unquote back to normal and all the bands are out playing all over the place
Right.
again. And hopefully we'll see you around the area.
Cross paths, yeah.
Do you guys play up north here? Do you play more in like the central Iowa area or where?
Jeez, we're all over really. A lot in the northwest, Ankeny, Des Moines area. We got a show in Omaha coming up October
Nice.
1st. That'll be our first trip there. Yeah, we're kind of all over, to be honest.
That's probably like the benefit of having different people from different areas. They're
Yep.
just all over the place.
Yeah,
so.
we all focus on our area and kind of just book there. But no, we're trying to branch out and get out of the state even. You
Yeah.
know? So yeah,
Yeah, oh my.
it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, if you love it, it's the passion project, and that's just going out on those trips is just it's awesome. I love going somewhere new and playing music for somewhere new.
Yeah.
It's I feel like it takes a little bit of the pressure off too. It's like, none of these people know me. You know?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and going somewhere new is fun. But yeah, the camaraderie that you get with being in a band is, it's a great way to make friends that you probably would have made eventually. You know, you and I had never met until, we were both at that show. Jesse Wilson, like you said, I haven't met him yet, but I'm sure someday. Scott, I know Kirkhart a little bit.
Yeah, Jesse and Scott did a song together.
Yeah, right. All these guys were kind of just meshed together, just from being in this area. But yeah, it's cool seeing other people do it.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, I hope our paths cross out there sometime. You're from not too far away, so
Right. Yep.
I mean, Fort Dodge is pretty much middle ground for both of us,
Yep.
as it is for a lot of us, which is
Yep.
why the scene is the way it is there.
Yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
yeah, man. Thanks for sitting down and joining me.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll catch one of your live shows.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll check you later.
Yep.
Hey, what'd I tell you? Fun episode, fun guy. I had a good time sitting down talking with him. Hopefully I can get to see one of them live shows sometime. The Fonda Flyers, the video they made was tons of fun. Like we said in the episode, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's online. You can find links to it pretty much anywhere on any of their social media. All those links are down below. So check them out online. There's also a link to their YouTube down below, which has the video on it. Pretty easy to find it there. So check that out while you're there. Maybe hit subscribe. Also, maybe check out the Fonda Flyers live. I do know they play some shows. They had one coming up last time I checked. I can't remember the day right off the top of my head. But go to their social media. Check it out. It's on their Facebook page. I know that for a fact. So they're updating their social media. Check them out. Check them out live. It's got to be a good show because they just seem like such a fun band. The album's really fun. If you haven't heard the album, it's also available on pretty much anything you could stream music with. So check that out on all the streaming platforms. Speaking of checking things out, check out the Audible Farm Podcast at audiblefarmpodcast.com. Just gotta say thanks for listening. We do have all sorts of social media, the big 3 or 4, I guess you could call them. Well, we got the Facebook, the Instagram, Twitter, there's YouTube. Those are the big ones, I guess. I do most of the work on Instagram and on Facebook, so if you want to let us know what you thought of the episode, let us know there. Leave us a review wherever you're listening. Subscribe, like, 5 stars, all the good stuff, If you haven't yet, I would highly suggest doing so. And, if not, that's also good. I'm glad you're here listening to this episode, and I'm glad you made it this far. Make sure you check out all the links down below for the Audible Farm goodness, but don't forget to check out the links for Josh Stewart down below as well. So I just want to say thanks for listening. This was a fun episode. I'm glad I sat down and did it. This is, it's always one of those things where, if I don't know the person very well, it's always kind of nerve-wracking at first, but we had enough messages back and forth online where I think we made it easy enough to kind of interact with each other. So it was really, really fun to sit down and talk with him, and hopefully it won't be the last time. So thanks, Josh. Thank you guys for listening. I will check you out next week. Peace.